We're looking at topography and the site location in this reminder. What I've got is the site layout. So this is the imported CAD file which shows the site location. This is our project. If I turn on this, which is the shaded display option, we can see the topography that I've created in there as well. This is just being created manually by adding a few points and giving a elevation. But what we've got at this point is this is a Tiny Tim's nursery just off Whitefriars. That's the underpass around the ring road. This bit here, this is our survey point. This is the internal survey point, not shared with anything, but it does have sort of accurate northings and eastings based on Google map position. So this is the Tiny Tim's or Tiny Tots, whatever it's called, and if we look at that point, then 52.405, this is the decimal reading, not the minutes and seconds, but 52.4 and minus 1.5, so that's 1 degree and about 30 minutes going on at that point. I'll just go back over to a Revit file. So that's replicating that. So there's two basic points, and now these are usually sitting on top of each other when you open up a new drawing, so they don't have any real relationship. It looks like there's one symbol, but there are in fact two. And if I select this one, this is the project base point. I'll just go back to hidden line mode and ignore that so we can see what this thing says. So we have north, south, east, west. Now these are values in meters based on this position. So that corner point, which is a significant part of the site and the building, this can be our setting out point from this known survey point. So there's always kind of 2 points in Revit. There's not really a 0, 0 as such, but this gives us then a site location. Now if we were to share this site with other projects, then people who are building maybe over here would be able to reference this site position. And also there's an elevation, but there's no elevation I've added to that, but I could have added an elevation to that above or below sea level, and then that would work with this. Also, you'll notice that the angle to true north, let's just zoom in so we can read this. This never gets any bigger, but maybe if I do that, anyway, we can just about, not making it any easier. So angle to true north is 159.911 degrees. So that brings me on to another thing. So north is in fact pointing in this direction. Okay. But we have two north options in Revit. We have the project north sort of orientation, where the building is kind of orientated to a sheet. So a straight edge across the top or the bottom or the side would then correspond to the piece of paper, so it sits comfortably on the piece of paper. But we also have, under the orientation, another option that we can choose, which is the true north option, and this shows the project in its true north orientation. So if I then click on the site, they will notice that the green arrow is pointing straight up. So what we're going to do is bring in the CAD file, and then we're going to align the building to suit the CAD file, or in fact we're actually going to align the CAD file to suit the building, and then that's going to be our project north orientation. So if I just go back to the floor plan, just to make sure I don't select anything, so I'll go back to project north. So we will be aligning this CAD file to suit this, and then we can rotate the whole project using this option, rotate true north, so we get an accurate north position on our project. What we'll also do under the location is we'll put the project address in, so we'll give it its accurate northings and eastings, and then with a correct north position and a correct location, it means that we get sort of accurate returns on our solar analysis. So I'm going to open up the floor plan. So let's go to the floor plan which hasn't got any site on it, and notice that the site and project base points, so I select them both, and then go to filter, we can see there's two things there, the project base point and the survey point. They're sitting kind of in the center of the drawing. And we'll create the topography after we've done everything else. The topography is not going to be based on any specific topography. We're not using contours or anything for this, we'll just dot one in. In class I'll show you various different ways of bringing in a topography through contours from a CAD file or from a points file as well. So we want to go to our insert tab, and we want to go to import CAD. I'm following the instructions or the location from Moodle or on the W drive. This is sitting on my computer at home. We find the Whitefriars site, and we want to not preserve the colors. We want to put the colors black and white, and layers levels all we could actually specify, but we'll leave them all at the moment. Import units, we'll make sure they are meters. Okay, not auto, sometimes it doesn't get it quite right. And the positioning, auto origin to origin, let's go auto center to center. That means the center of that CAD file is going to come into the center of our drawing, and the center of our drawing is where that symbol is. So at least we get it somewhere right, because this, if this was drawn with an origin point sort of a long way away, then we might get a bit of a mess if we brought it in auto origin to origin or manual to origin. Okay, so auto center to center, we'll be relocating it in a bit. And orientate to view, this one I'm not quite sure about. Correct lines that are slightly off axis, we'll say no to that, because this, you know, if they are slightly off axis, then they're meant to be, because it's a survey drawing. And current view only, this means it'll only come in to the site view and we won't see it anywhere else. And we can then say open. So here we are, we have our site. So we can't see all of it. It's not necessarily a problem, but if we untick the crop view, then we can see more of it. We've got an awful lot of information going on here as well. We might actually want to delete some of these layers. So we can, the option you've got to delete layers up here. Now we want to keep the buildings in, and the building line, we could probably lose that. The building text, we could lose that. Road casing, general text, height contours, landform area, road center line, all that stuff. So that's trimmed out a bit, so that'll do fine. We could also soften it down a bit because it's a bit heavy. So if we go to our VV or VG for visibility graphic overrides, then under the imported categories, if we look at this one, we can just half tone that and apply that, so it just softens the whole thing down, so it looks a little bit easier to understand. And this is our car park. There's the park outside the back of the building. There's the sports hall. This is a John Lang building. Now north is straight up. Okay, so it would be sensible at this point under an architecture or structure tab just to click a model line in vertically up, so we know where north is. So I'll just draw that from this point vertically up. This is that Tiny Tots or Tiny Tims or whatever it is. This is where we're going to position our survey point. So we want to now rotate this plan and that line, because we want to make sure we get north in the right place. So I'm going to control and click on that, so I've selected the whole thing. And then we can use the rotate tool. And what I want to do is basically rotate this car park so that this back edge is coming down to this point. So if I go sort of up at the moment and just bring that round 180 degrees to start off with, and then I can reposition it. Just make sure that you still know where this line is. So I'll just use the move tool and pick it up from that point. Let's not constrain it, so that's why it's locked in that orientation. So untick constrain, and I'll move that to there. And then I shall rotate again, but this time I'll move this marker point, this pin point, to this position, and I'll click there and I'll come around horizontally. So we've got that orientation set, and then I can just finally move this a little bit closer to that point there. So again, it doesn't matter really where you put it. I've got this kind of on that building line there now, so I'm happy with my location. This is my project location. So the front of the building is looking this way over the park, and what I now need to do is, under the true north orientation, rotate the whole thing so that this is facing back to north. So under the orientation option, if I click on true north, and you have to be in true north to be able to do this, then we go to the manage tab and position and rotate true north, and then we can move this marker down to this point, and if we click on this line and then we bring it all the way up so it's vertically up, so we're looking at 160.055 degrees or something like that. And there we are. So we've now got the site in true north, and we could click back to project north. In project north, the building just sits sort of square to the sheet. The only thing that's left for us to do now is to relocate these markers. So this one is going at the corner of our project. Some corner, doesn't matter which one, but I'll put it on this back corner there. And this one is going to come and move to that position there. So I'll select this first. You've got to unpin it, and then we can move it. Keep forgetting that if I just click inside it, it's not going to do anything. So I've now snapped that to that point, and I can unset it. I'll also move this thing because this has a relationship with that, and I also need to unclip that, otherwise the whole project's going to move with this because it thinks this is the base point of the project. So we can move this to that point. Again, if I just zoom in so I can put it on that intersection. So that's fine for that. And the final bit is to select this survey point, unclip it, and we now want to put the correct values in. So by selecting that, I'll select that text, Control C, and then Control V. I'll select this one. Okay, it's moved a bit. We shall reposition it in a second. And select that one, Control C, Control V. And let's find that, and then we should be able to move this without this changing. Now I need to clip it. I think I should have clipped it before I set it, so this should not move that value. And then we now have a proper relationship between this and this. So I think I got that slightly wrong. I always get slightly confused about this. It does take a lot of thinking through, but I can delete that line because we no longer need that. And now we've got our site orientated in the correct position. And I'll leave the video at this point, and then the next bit will be creating the topography, which is a much easier task.